How did the trenches win the football game for the Vikings? And how did that help propel Sam Darnold and Kevin O'Connell? The Minnesota Vikings beat the New York Giants by a score of 28-6, and it was not very close. It felt like the game could get out of hand early, but that didn't faze Sam Darnold as he balled out throughout the entire game, completed his first 12 passes, finished 19 of 24 for 208 yards, 2 touchdowns, and an interception. What was really impressive about Darnold's performance wasn't necessarily the numbers, which were very good. It was his process. It was the comfort behind that offensive line. It was the confidence that he could make any throw and not have to worry about being benched. All of those factors made a humongous difference for the Minnesota Vikings and Sam Darnold. And now he gets to go up and play the San Francisco 49ers next week. If they win that game, they'll be 2-0 when they host the Houston Texans. And then they have a chance to go 3-0 in arguably the toughest stretch of their season. They also may not have to face Jordan Love in week 4 against the Green Bay Packers, which makes it a much, much more winnable game. We'll find out if Love is going to be healthy enough. But the way Darnold played, this team can play with anybody if Darnold plays the way he did against the New York Giants. One of the things that they really allowed Sam Darnold and Kevin O'Connell to do because of that confidence was be creative with the playbook. Now, the touchdown to Jalen Nailor feels like a very creative play because it's not something you see a lot. So here's how it worked. All right. You have Jalen Nailor in the slot, Jordan Addison up on the boundary, and they do a switch release. So if you have your X receiver and your slot receiver, the switch release, they switch spots. It's really that simple. And by switching spots, it can create a multitude of problems for the defense. So Addison comes out of his stance pretty quickly, goes into his route. He basically runs a post. Jalen Nailor fakes the block because Sam Darnold does that little shoulder fake to get the defense jumping, fakes blocking for that screen, and then does a wheel route and is wide open. And because the Giants have been playing a lot of cover 2, one shallow defender, one deep, there's that honey hole in between those two. That honey hole was wide open, hits Jalen Nailor for the easy score. Awesome kind of creativity, but it's something college football has been doing a lot more of. And one of the things about the NFL, you have to adapt with the college game because they are the ones that are feeding your prospect pool. The trenches were the most important part of the Minnesota Vikings win against the New York Giants. I wrote about it for A to Z Sports and talked about 3 different factors of the Vikings winning. One, they found a way to mitigate Dexter Lawrence. And by finding a way to mitigate Dexter Lawrence was they decided, hey, we need to slide and double this guy because he's absolutely wreaking havoc on us. He got a sack on the second play of the game. It was like, oh boy, here we go. The Vikings are coming out slow. The interior is a problem. Well, they fixed it because they figured out what was wrong. They communicated. They made adjustments. And that's how you win the National Football League. Adapt or die. Vikings chose to adapt, so the Giants would die on this Sunday. But on the other side of the football was what was really intriguing. They only dressed 4 defensive linemen, which felt a little odd, but we also know that Brian Flores loves to use those 3 edge rusher packages. They dressed all 5 edges, and now we know why. They didn't dress all 5 edge rushers to have a good rotation. They played 4 edge rusher looks a lot throughout this game, and it was something that I had opined about throughout the offseason. Wonder if Jonathan Gennard is going to be pushed inside because of his 35.5-inch arms and that quick get off. They did that, and they did that frequently with Gennard. They also put in Jihad Ward on the inside. Now, Ward is a thicker build, kind of like a hybrid 5-technique edge rusher. So he can do a little bit of both, but it's a power game. And having that power game on the inside with Jonathan Gennard, and then you put Van Ginkel, Dallas Turner, and Pat Jones II, who had 2 sacks of his own on the outside, it creates problems. Plus, anybody can loop at any time because they have the speed and athleticism for it. So you can have a looper from 0 technique, and it's not going to be a 320-pound beefy boy. It's going to be an edge rusher. This is a package that I expect Brian Flores to deploy a lot. And we're going to talk a lot about this over the course of the next few weeks because we're still learning about what this 2024 Minnesota Vikings franchise is going to be. It's Tyler Forness of A to Z Sports. Vikings are 1-0. Enjoy it, everybody. Skol Vikings.